Extra place offers are something that if you're brand new to horse racing or any sort of match betting, they're going to be a bit confusing, but it is incredibly simple when you just split it off into 3 separate steps. That's exactly what I'm going to show you today. Don't worry if you already know about extra place trading and everything along them lines. I'm also going to show you today what are the results of doing these extra places for a whole week, where how the rating changes depending on which horse you back and everything along them lines. And we'll see how much profit you would have made over the course of a week with about 80 plus selections available. So if it sounds like a video you're going to enjoy, please do be sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button while you're down there. If you've got any recommendations for videos you want to see on this channel, please let me know down in the comments and I'll get them added to my list. But without further ado, let's get into these extra places. So when you're doing extra places, it is just easier by 10 times if you have an account with OddsMonkey. And if you choose the link down in the description, I believe you can get a trial for very cheap for 12 days, I think. And then obviously I get some commission there as well, so that will be very beneficial for me. But once you've got an OddsMonkey account, all you need to do is go to Tools, Matches, and then Extra Place Matcher. Now I'm going to explain what extra places are whilst I take you through an example here. So as you can see, it's bringing up a list of all the horses in this determined event, and you can see you can select as many as you want for the current day. You can also put in there your desired stake, filter out any bookmakers where you're gubbed at, any exchanges you don't have, and everything along them lines. So what we're doing here, just to quickly go through this, I do already have a video on the channel about extra places, and I definitely recommend that before you go and do extra places yourself, you do extra research on it, look at everyone else's videos. At the end of the day, I am just a beginner when it comes to strategies like this. I always get pointed out in the comments how I'm not finding the right amount of value, how I'm not checking the expected value on certain events and everything like that. I am just a beginner. None of this is meant to be advice, it's just showing you what you can do if you're a beginner as well. And in most cases, it's also showing you what not to do. So if you take a look down at the comments as well before you go, I'm sure there'll be someone there telling me I've done stuff wrong. But if we look over here, what extra places are just bookmakers giving you an extra paid place on the race. So for example here we can see with Unibet, they're offering 4 places in your each way bets, whereas normally they would only offer 3 for this race. So how we can exploit that is by going over to the bookmaker, backing the horse at these odds, then going to our first exchange, which in this instance is markets, and we're then going to lay the win. Then we're going to go to our next exchange, which in this case is Betfair, and we're going to lay the place. Now the place will not include that extra place that is being paid for the day. So essentially at this point here, you've got your whole horse matched for if they finish first, second or third, but then if they finish fourth, we kind of have a 2-up scenario going on. We've had the bookmaker pay out for that horse placing in that extra position, and then we've had our money come through over on the exchange because the horse didn't win and the horse didn't come in the top 3 or in the exchange maker's place. So we're using this horse finishing outside of the exchange's places and in the additional places set by the bookmaker to get ourselves that little bit of profit over here. Now you can see there's this rating section over here as well. This determines how much of a qualifying loss you're going to make, so it is vital that you get that rate as high as you possibly can. OddsMonkey initially has it set so it will highlight any that are 95 plus. And what I wanted to check over the course of this last week was how big of a difference really is it if you do every one that's 90% and above compared to if you limit yourself to the 95% and above. Are you missing out on profit? Is it really that vital that you do over 95%? So what I've done for the past week is I've come on here every day, around about an hour a day, because it's key to note here. People might load this up instantly and go, no 95% there, go down to the next race, no 95% there, and they'll do this once a day on the morning, and they won't get any 95%. Now, the reason for that is the odds change every minute of every day. So what you're going to want to do is maybe check this every half hour, every hour. You don't necessarily need to put too much effort in, but you need to be checking it fairly regularly because of how often the odds change. So if you see here, I'm looking through all these, and we've got through over half the races now. There was a 94%, but there's been no 95s or above, and it doesn't look like we're going to get any for 95% or above at the moment for today. But if I was to have loaded this up every minute and keep checking every maybe half hour, every hour, just whenever you're available to keep checking, there will have been 3 or 4 95% pluses, especially when a race gets close to starting. Now, don't worry about actually placing these yet. It is very simple. All you're going to do is load up the bookmaker, get their tab open up both the exchanges, get their tabs open, and basically get everything loaded into your bet slip. Have it so you can literally go bookmaker, exchange 1, exchange 2, and just place them one after the other straight away. The reason you're going to do that is because you can see just before you go to do it if any of the odds change. If they do, you can quickly update over here on the extra place matcher, and then you'll know if your profit and loss is going to change. So just make sure you've got them all ready, loaded up for when you come to place it. It'll make it 10 times easier. But as you can see, we have no 95s or plus at the moment. Now, there was a 94 somewhere down here, so if I just go find that 94% again, and I believe it was actually on this one, so you can see it's already dropped down back to 92 now. But you can see when it's 92%, we're losing £1.47, but if that horse finishes 5th, we're getting £36 worth of profit. Now, if you come down here at the bottom, you can see there's a 61%. That is going to cost us £7.74 in guaranteed qualifier loss, but then we can make £72.26 from 4th. Now, what I wanted to do was still put a limit on myself. I didn't just do every single horse in every single race. I did 90% and above. So if I just get my spreadsheet up over here, you can see how many horses we got at that 90% or above throughout the whole week, and you can see the guaranteed qualifying loss we would have made if none of these horses are placed in our extra spot. We would have lost £118.66. But in the end, if I'd have done this with all these horses, you can see that we would have made £136.34 worth of profit, which is a return of 115%. Now, that does look quite nice, but you can also see here just how many, based on the rating column, were under that 95%. So I wanted to double check here, what would happen if we filtered this to be 95 plus? Would our, not necessarily our profit have been bigger, because we can see there's a few here like this 93 where it got us £50, this 93 here where it got us £44. It's not necessarily going to be a larger amount, but will it be a bigger percentage return on the amount of our qualifying loss? And I think that's where it's key here for us to look. Because yes, we're probably not going to be earning as much because we've had a few wins in there where it was under 95%, but maybe we'll be risking less, and over a longer time with expected value, it would generate more profit. So let's get that checked. So let's come over here to the rate, go to number filter, and go greater than 95%. So we're putting 95% there. We're going to get that filtered. And as you can see, these are the races. So you can see it's already dropped down absolutely massively. So we went from something like 86 races down to 23. So you're not going to get as many selections when it comes to this. But you can also see the guaranteed qualifying loss we would have made in this instance, if none of the horses placed, was £13.75. So it's incredibly less. One key thing that you should always note about these extra places is the liability that's going to be required. It's going to take a big chunk of bankroll to be able to place these, but the losses are going to be quite slim. So you can see for some of these, we were making 17 pence loss, 83 pence loss, 97 pence loss. They're not that big losses, but the liability you'll have been required to put on the exchange can sometimes be 4 figures. So it will require a big bankroll for this, but hopefully seeing the actual loss you will make as long as you follow all the steps will sort of counteract that, because you're not going to be losing that money, you're only going to be losing a small portion as your qualifying loss. But as you can see here, if we'd have done this with all of these that were 95 plus for the week, you can see we would have made £104.25 profit, which is, based on our qualifying loss we would have needed to place that, a 758% return. Now, I don't want to put this information out there if it's not fully accurate. It was a very small sample size, so I'm going to continue doing this for a whole month and we'll see just how much it would potentially bring in. Now, I'm only going to be doing the 95 pluses over the course of the next month, just to highlight how much of a qualifying loss it'll be, how many we actually see throughout the course of the month and everything like that. So make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on that video. Now, there was also some instances where the rate was over 100%. So if I just adjust one of these here to get the rate above 100%, you can see what happens. It basically means you get a qualifying profit and then can, on top of that, get your extra place profit as well. I don't like to do that because I feel like, I don't know how they'd figure it out or anything like that, but I feel like it makes it easier for the bookmakers to spot when you're doing that and makes your account get gubbed quicker. Now, you will get gubbed or stake restricted doing this method, but unless you're doing it daily, always at the same bookmaker, it's not really going to be too much of an urgent issue. You'll be able to get a good amount of profit before you start to get gubbed. And if we just take a look at this extra place matcher, the reason it's so beneficial is because if you're checking every couple hours or every half an hour, you'll probably be able to get quite a few horses covered on the same race. And if I come over here and clear this filter, you can see that for this 20 past 2 at Windsor, we had 10 horses covered. We didn't hit a single one, of course we didn't, but we had 10 horses covered throughout that race. So you can get instances where you're covering multiple horses to give you a better chance. And the reason OddsMonkey is so good is because if we were going to cover these 2 horses here at 91%, you can just click this save button, and that's going to instantly put them over into your little section over here. And as you can see, these are all the horses that we've had in our spreadsheet for this past week. You can see just how much liability will have been required for all of these horses, and you can see the potential profits we would have got as well. Now, if we come back over here, you can see, even if you go off this one and then go back onto it, you can see which horse you've got covered and which bookmaker you've used. So if you really wanted to try and minimize the amount of times you get gubbed, you could always just alternate which bookmakers you're using. Now, I am going to have another video in a few weeks that will teach you how to best ensure you don't get your account gubbed, so that's definitely one worth looking out for in the next few weeks. But this is extra places. It is that simple. All you're going to do is come over to the extra place matcher every half an hour or so and just look through all the races. See if any one of them it gets highlighted. See if any of them look like they might have a little bit of a bigger qualifying loss, but the extra place profit might be worthwhile if it hits. Try and calculate your own expected value. Don't worry, there is also going to be some videos as soon as I learn how to do it, teaching you how to calculate expected value on extra places, 2-ups, general bets, everything along them lines I'm going to be looking into in the next few weeks. But if we just look through these again, you can already see we're getting some better odds now. We're getting some 91%, 92%, but still no 95s. I have noticed the majority of the time when you get your 95s, it's going to be around about 10 minutes before the match starts, or before the race starts I should say, so it's definitely worth keeping an eye on closer to the time. Now when it gets closer to the time, you can see this one here starts in around 10 minutes, the odds are going to fluctuate very quickly, so that is when it becomes really vital that you load up all of these options down here at the bottom, and let's just get them all ready. You can see we've got Betfair open at the moment, so we can come over here and select our horse ready. We've then got Smarkets open. It's going to open it straight on the race, so we can get our horse ready there, and we can get it ready on the place over on Betfair. So we're going to be able to get these all ready, and it's so important close at the time that you make sure everything is spot on, because you don't want to impact that qualifying loss over here or your potential profit. But as you can see from this graph, we would have made £136 doing 90% plus, and doing 95% plus we would have made less of a profit, but we would have made a much bigger return on our qualifying loss that we've put forward. So it's definitely worth getting that qualifying loss as low as you can. You can see not a single one of these when you're over 95%, not a single one if you're going in with that £10 stake is going to be over £1. It's always going to be under that, which is incredible when you come to think of it, because looking at the potential profits over here, you can see all of them will have been massively worth it. But that is it for this week's video. Hopefully you've enjoyed. If you've got any other tips and tricks when it comes to extra places, do let me know down in the comments and I'll implement them when we do the month-long video, and we'll be starting that as of tomorrow. So any tips as quick as you can get them in, please do let me know. As I said at the start, if you've got any other recommendations for videos, please do let me know down in the comments. I'll get started on them straight away. But that was the full profit for doing over 90% and over 95%. Just as a quick little booster at the end here, some of you might be wondering what the actual profit and loss would have been if you did just 90% to 95%. So if we go between 90% and then we'll do 94.99 just so we miss out that 95% mark, you can actually see, despite the fact we got quite a few big chunks of profit in there, we hit 1, 2, 3, 4 different return points, we would have only made 31% profit. Now 31% profit isn't bad, it's still quite a nice return, but when the expected value of these trades becomes lower and lower, it sometimes might not be worthwhile doing. You can see these ones that actually came in, 93%, 93%, 91%, so still they weren't really low end 90%, these were closer to 95 than they were to 90. So it shows there that the rating really does come to help with your qualifying loss. Any horses, for those who are wondering, that are in yellow, just quite simply mean they were one place off getting that profit. So this guy came third, fourth was the place we would have got the profit from. Not that it matters though, because we did get the other horse on this race that got profit. You can see these ones down here, we had one above, one below, but we also had one here that was spot on. So that's just a nice little tip there for that spreadsheet that I've got. If anyone wants this spreadsheet, let me know. It's nothing special, but I'm more than happy to put it on the spreadsheet section on the website. Just let me know down in the comments. But again, thank you for watching. Hopefully I'll see you next time, and I hope you've enjoyed this video.